comfortable your sheets are. I mean, it just doesn't come up in conversation. People don't care.
Right.
So you're buying every customer. That's my point. That's that to me. That's the downside in the investment. And you got to reinvent this every single time, right? Your kid graduates college and has his first job. You got to go out and buy that customer. It's not like it's waiting for him. He didn't walk by 100 Boll and Branch stores for the last 5 years, and now he knows where to go. I know Boll and Branch is experimenting with some brick and mortar, as they should. I don't know how many they're going to build out, but they're going to have to do that to spend less money on online customer acquisition, if you ask me. You can see I'm a little opinionated. I don't know how much, take it.
No, this is very interesting. Listen, listen, you're a veteran in the industry, so there's actually, these are all the things that I, going into this conversation, was worried about, so it's helpful to hear you talk about them. How should I think about the competitive landscape here? Because is it just hyper competitive for the size of the market, and is it going to, how do customers think about a perceived or non-perceived difference between different brands here? Or is it just going to be whichever one is cheapest and they'll go with that? Or whichever one they've seen an ad on the tube for, they'll go for that rather than really explore the market here. I don't know. You're in the market, though. It's helpful to get your view on it.
I mean, so if you've looked at Thread Experiment, I tried to come up with something sticky. It's not as successful as Boll and Branch, but honestly, we bootstrapped this thing and we didn't have nearly as much. We have no kind of budget that's similar to Boll and Branch. But the goal is to come up with something that has a sticky effect. Whether or not you think a guy cares about betting, that's fine. But I can tell you there's no other company that does betting that's marketed toward men. So that alone makes it, distinguishable, for better or for worse. Boll and Branch, Brooklinen, the two biggest ones, presumably in the online branded space. I don't know. Do you think that anyone can tell you the distinction between the two? I'm in the industry and I could barely tell you anything. I don't think customers can at all, and I think there will come a time where department stores will start looking at it more seriously and may start getting more aggressive in that space, depending on how much of what percentage of revenues their home industry, makes up. So if Macy's, if there's a considerable percentage of sales in the home, I think they're going to look at companies like Boll and Branch and say, you know what, maybe it's time. We're already spending the marketing dollars as it is. Let's start focusing in on some of this home stuff. And yeah, I do think that the lowest price in this industry and in so many wins. And I think it will, even in a great economy. I mean, look at TJX came out with that incredible report yesterday, and our economy hasn't been this good in years, right? I mean, so I think there's I don't think people prioritize higher price sheets in their life, even when times are good. And so, I don't know where. I think I lost my train of thought. But
well,
anyway,
so this is an interesting conversation point, because what I'd be intrigued to hear from you is one of the propositions here is, and I don't know if Thread Experiment kind of faces the same way, but is that it's a high quality sheet at a much more affordable price point versus the very expensive sheet manufacturers out there that are sold in Bloomingdale's. Now, I don't know how you think about that specifically, the price point specifically, but also really the target customer. Is that target customer really that price sensitive, number one? And number two, how do they react in sort of volatile social economic climates? So, if we expect a recession over the next 3 to 5 years, does that change people's buying patterns, especially when, you're in the slightly more affluent class? Does that change the way that you buy sheets?
I mean, I don't think sheets is the first thing on the chopping block if there's a recession, only because you're not shopping for it as often. That's why going out to dinner will be one of the first things that goes, and that's what was one of the first things that went in 2008. So when it comes to buying sheets, I don't know, do you say to yourself, well, we plan on having these sheets for 3 years. So instead of spending